I'd like to talk a little bit about the AutoCAD environment. I know we're in Civil 3D right now, but the environment is really an AutoCAD based environment. So we have the drawing space here. It's infinite in all directions. We have a ribbon with a bunch of commands here, and this is the ribbon bar. So we're at the home ribbon bar, insert ribbon bar, annotation ribbon bar, modify, so on and so forth. Then we have this more of an AutoCAD and Civil 3D menu uh, selection. And so this is where the file open, the edits, the views, the inserts, general stuff is. And then it gets into survey, points, and from then on out are more very specific to Civil 3D and basically Civil 3D only. So survey, points, surfaces to create a surface, lines and curve tools, creating parcels, doing grading, roadway alignments, profiles, corridors, sections, pipes, annotations, so on and so forth. So there are two menu systems here that you should always see. One of them is the menu bar for Civil 3D, and then one's the menu bar really for the program and Civil 3D. Some of the commands in here are not readily available down in the menu bar and vice versa. So I like to have both of those open at the same time. On top of that, we have this thing called a tool space, and you can turn off tool space from the home ribbon bar. And tool space has different tabs on it here based on these four settings here. So this is toolbox. If I don't want to see toolbox, I can turn that off. Or if I don't want to see survey, I can turn that off. And now the prospector and settings tabs are the only ones shown. If I want the survey back again, I select that one and it's back again. The ones we will really continue on is the settings and the prospector. So this is the tool space flyout, if you will. We have different drawings open. There, as you can see, there are really three individual drawings open right now, and you can select back and forth between those. If you don't see those, then you need to turn on the Files tab under Configuration or Options. Then beyond that, we have this button bar, different button bars for different tasks that we do. This is a drawing button bar. You can draw a line, a polyline, a hexagon or a polygon of some site, or rectangle, things like that. This one, let's see, this one here is your standard toolbar, and it has, open, save, new, all those pan, all those kind of things. This is the layers command. This is the properties button bar. This is the layers 2 button bar for changing and selecting layers. And then this is another button bar used for transparent commands for doing civil 3D type work. You can add or subtract to these menu bars by going into a gray space like here. You don't do it up here in the darker gray space, but you can do it in the lighter gray space. And if you right click, you can go to AutoCAD, and these are all the different button bars that you can load up. I would be a little bit careful in loading all of them up, because as you continually load these button bars up, your drawing space becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So try to be somewhat concise with those button bars. Down here is the command line, and this is where you can actually type in a command like polyline, and I don't even have to do that. I can go PL and it'll know what I'm talking about. So if you want to just do a line, it's just L. If you want to do a circle, it's just C, so on and so forth. Move, if you want to move an object, things like that, you can certainly do that. I'm going to draw a polyline here, and I want to talk a little bit about um, um, grips. So I'll go second point, I'll go here, I go here, and that's fine. So grips are those little blue things. When you select something, you can see these blue little boxes. Those are grips. And so if I wanted to edit this, I can just move it out here and click, and then it's there. If I rest inside of it, it gives me different options. I did not click inside this. I just put my cursor inside of it, and it kind of snapped in there and turned red. I can stretch it, I can add a vertice, or I can convert it to a line. And if I convert it to a line, it just converts to a line. I can pop in here, and then I can go convert back to an arc and then reset it however I want it. If I select any one of these, okay, the first thing that it comes out is stretch. And if I hit my space bar, now it's move. Now I can translate it anywhere I want it. If I hit my space bar again, it's rotate it around that red point that I've initially selected. If I hit space bar again, this is scaling. And I can scale it. And I can even scale it as 0.5 and have it half as big as it was. So when I click here, after scale is mirror, and I can mirror it if I want to. And if I press the space bar again, it goes back to stretch. So it's just a toggle, stretch, move, and each time I'm hitting my space bar, rotate, scale, mirror, stretch, move, rotate, scale, mirror, stretch, move, rotate, scale, mirror. And so if you're working with grips, it's a very, very quick way to do things, because all it takes for the move command, you don't have to look for it, you don't have to type anything, you don't have to look down at the keyboard. You grab wherever you want. Let's say that I want it at the end of this line. I want this point here at the end of this line. Well, there it is. And it becomes very, very fast in editing. And let's say I want to rotate it slightly around, and let's say that I want to rotate it around so that this point here is on this line. So I'm going to rotate it about this way, and I could try to get it close, but I never really would get it close, except for down here there are additional choices. And the first choice, or the choice I'm going to use right now, is going to be reference. And it's going to be a referenced rotation. So it says reference the angle from here. This is the one that's going to be rotated about. And you're going to go, I want this point to rotate right around to here. And now that is a perfect rotation with the two lines that I wanted. So that can be handy. If you have a polyline that looks like that, and you want to rotate this around, I go space bar, I select there, and I go space space for the rotation, and I hit R for reference. I go back to my rotation angle, the angle or the portion, the endpoint that I want to rotate around, and there, and now those two are perfectly lined up. So, and these grips will use object snaps, O snaps, if you need to. O snaps can be identified with the F3 key, or you can type in OS for object snap. And right now I'm only set on endpoint, but I could go endpoint, midpoint, I can go center, I can go node, any of these types of things. And if I have those three selected, and let's say I have a circle out here, and I have a point somewhere here, there's a point here. So now I'm doing a line, and it'll snap to the point, it'll snap to the center, it'll snap to the end. But if let's say I want to go from this point to the midpoint of this, but midpoint isn't chosen, I can hold down my shift key, right click the mouse, and say mid. midpoint. And then if I select it, that's the midpoint of that one, that's the midpoint of that one, so on and so forth. So I can select it, and each one of them has a different shape to it. The midpoint is a triangle, and so on and so forth. If you want to take a look at what all those shapes look like, you can type in OS, and the end point is a square, midpoint is triangle, circle is center, geometric center is kind of the same thing, but it deals with multiple objects. The node is a circle with an X in it. Quadrant is a kind of a diamond intersection or two lines, so on and so forth. So it will give you these icons. So perpendicular, if I was going to draw a line that's perpendicular, I would say line out here, and then I say PER, the first three characters of that, and you see that it gives you that perpendicular icon in green there. And I don't even need to be within the range of this line that I'm selecting. If I'm out here and I say perpendicular, I can even type in PER or shift right click and say perpendicular. It selects it out here. It's still perpendicular to it, but it's not coincident with it. So those are some of the things that you can do for pretty quick editing. If you're drawing lines and you see this will rotate anywhere you want. If you press the F8 key, now it's in perfect ortho mode. So it'll only be at right angles, either completely horizontal or completely vertical. If you're doing a one-off, horizontal or vertical, like you want to be able to select these things, and you're kind of cooking, and instead of saying now I get to where I want a perfectly horizontal line, I can hold down the shift key, and it's just kind of a temporary ortho mode. So oh, I'm in the middle of uh, well, sorry about that. I kind of goofed that up. But anyway, there's a way to hold the shift key down, and it'll go into kind of a temporary ortho mode. But F8 is your ortho on, ortho off. If you can't remember that, or you're new to it, you can go to the ortho mode here, and it will show you as an icon. If I want the ortho mode on, I'm doing that, and if I want it off, while I'm in the command, I can do that, and then go back to ortho mode, and then go back of ortho mode and close the gap. So there are choices to be made here as you're drafting. I select everything. I press E for enter or D for delete. Oh, D is dim. I'm sorry, they kind of changed that on me. So just press E for erase, and it will be all gone. Zooming is done by the wheel. If I have a circle here, zooming, and it's wherever the center of the icon is that it's going to zoom about. So if I want to zoom from the middle of this guy, I would want to be somewhere in the center of that. If I hold the roller ball butt down and hold it down, then that's pan. And if I double click the roller ball, that's zoom extents. So a couple of quicker little commands there. And the coordinate system down here is where you're at. If you want to draw things in relative locations, I can start a line command, and it's always X and Y when you're doing this. So if I start a command and I say 0, 0, this is the 0, 0 of the entire coordinate system right here. And you can kind of see what's going on down there as I zoom in on this, and you can see it's pretty close to 0, 0. I don't have it exact because maybe I'm not zoomed in enough, but if I get right down on it, I can get it to 0, 0. Then if I want to move 5 units to the right and 1 unit up, I can go 5, 1. And of course it draws it there. If I don't want to have to recalculate these things based on the 0, comma 0, I can go a relative location, and this time I'm going to go 2 forward and 3 high, but I'm going to go from this relative location. So I can do the at symbol, and I say 2 in the x direction, comma 3 in the y direction, and it draws it. So that's a way that you can draw things, generically speaking, with the relative and absolute coordinates. Um, you can use the z coordinates also in that. In certain instances, polylines won't accept the z coordinate in different points unless you do a like a 3D polyline, which is different than a lightweight polyline. But lines will take on all three aspects, the X, the Y, and the Z. So basically, that's kind of the quick version of the how-tos of AutoCAD and its environment.